Hello, this is Virginia Kelly. I'm a healer, counselor, healthcare provider, coach, and educator. Today I want to talk about the collective unconscious and what we're going through. In my work as a psychotherapist, when someone comes for a consult and tells me that the source of conflict is their significant other, I often recommend couples therapy. So as they're telling me this, I know there's another person with another story, and the truth is always somewhere in the middle. In the meantime, I can't help but to identify with the person who's telling me this, because that's what mirror neurons do. So when the other person comes along and joins treatment, here we open a whole new Pandora box of information, which gives a whole new dimension to the problem, and now we can grasp the problem better and address it in order to yield a solution. Now, that's usually a bumpy road, because in the beginning there's a lot of hurt, and hurt people hurt others, and there's a lot of blaming, and people tend to get polarized and crystallize in their positions, and it's not up until they realize that they have to give in and negotiate that actually we can work towards the common good. So let's translate that to what's going on nowadays, and we are transitioning through the ages. We're leaving behind the age of Pisces, which is two fishes going in the opposite direction. So we have a duality model, and that is right, left, reps, dems, yin, yang, black, white, and it's a win-lose scenario. And that is an outdated model that no longer works, is obsolete. So it's we're leaving it behind. Now we're working towards a unity model that's the age of Aquarius. We're all one, and that's why we have a virus that they say the virus doesn't discriminate. And even though that's debatable because we all have different circumstances, it renders us all vulnerable to it anyway. And now we have the mass protest against abuse of power and police brutality, which is again the consciousness that we're all one. Now those mass protests are also divided because you have the Pacific and the violence. Now the Pacific is working towards the new model, while the violence is stuck and crystallizing the old model, and violence never breeds union. So it ends up discrediting the movement and causing more problems that they're trying to resolve. So the point is that the transition of the ages is not overnight, because the collective unconscious needs to catch up with the transition, and it takes time. It can take a couple of generations, but we are definitely in the process of it. Now, the statistics don't fully support the narrative, because we have to know the nature of the business of the news. If it bleeds, it leads. And you have also that division within the news, where it's not just one side or the other of the story, but also within the same side you have like a stay home and separate it in the name of health, and then get out and gather in the name of justice, and you don't get to have it both ways. And I think that most of us can see through it. So how do we bridge that gap? Well, it almost seems like an utopia, but talking to each other and trying to get in each other's shoes and working together towards a solution, because the moment that is used for either side for their own agendas, that's never going to happen. So we have this this Hegelian dialectic, and this almost illusion of choosing, because we don't realize sometimes how both wings belong to the same bird, and it's not so much a lateral division in as much as is a vertical division. So we still have the duality, but it's top down. And when I talk about top, I'm not even talking about the puppets in chief, because presidents comes and goes, but the problem remains the same, because the people who call the shot are always on top, those ones that you cannot name or blame. And I think humanity is waking up to this fact, and in the process we're still not managing to speak with each other and to come to a consensus yet. And people asking, when is this gonna stop? Well, it is gonna stop when we stop, when we start talking to each other and working towards that common good. So I will leave you with that today. Thank you very much. I will see you next time. In the meantime, like, share, subscribe, hit the bell for notifications if you want a private session. My website is belongvirginiakelly.com. Thanks.